Let's create a basic SQL query data source. This type of query is very similar to a query binding you would see on a Vision component. We'll start in the data panel here. We'll click on the plus icon and click on Basic SQL Query. When we create a new basic SQL query, there's a placeholder query already for us. We can also set the data key. This is the name of the data source, so we'll go ahead and just change this to fruit report. Next, we can change the query type. You'll see that the query data sources are available, so we can't change this to a static CSV or a script data source. Note that changing the query type will wipe out your query, so always make sure to create a copy before you change the query type here. We can specify a certain database connection. Next is this preview limit property. We'll come back to this in a moment though. And there's an area where you can create a nested query. So let's start by looking at what data I want to bring in here. We'll go to the database query browser, and I have 10 rows here. I want to go ahead and bring the data in as is to my table. So we'll go ahead and close this, and I already have the query. Now my query here is just selecting everything from the table. And if we take a look at the preview, I already have a table set up, and there are all of our rows here. Now let's take a look at this preview limit. This limits the number of rows returned by your data sources when viewed from the preview panel. This way, if you're trying to troubleshoot a particular problem, you can go ahead and limit how much data is coming in. Note that this is only applied when viewed from the preview panel. So just to give you an example, we'll go ahead and limit this to 5. If we check the preview panel, you'll see that there are only 5 rows, which makes looking through the raw data much easier. Let's head back to data and set this back to 100. Now what I'd like to do is go ahead and filter this off of a particular parameter. So let's create a parameter, create a new one, call it customer name, give it a string, and we'll give it a default value of Mary, which again can be overwritten, which we'll do. Next we'll come to the data source, and we need to go ahead and add a where clause. So we'll start a new line, customer column equals. Now I can type out with the curly braces customer name, but there's also this little parameters icon right here. We'll go ahead and click on that, click on customer name, and you can see it automatically does it for us. Now since we are passing a string in, let's go ahead and add some quotes around here. If you take a look at our preview, you'll see that only Mary's values are coming back. Next, let's take a look at this in the report viewer component. Click on the project browser, go to our windows, basic SQL query, and you'll see I have this window already set up here for us. Now I also created this drop-down list component. This component has a list of all of our customers in it. If we take a look at the customer name parameter on our report viewer, you see that I bound that already to the drop-down list. So now we can go ahead and just select each one of our customers and get their rows from our table.